It's Wednesday, so it's time for Playmaker to give a pep talk. Michael, who needs to get it together?
Staying in that same theme that we've been talking about, who's doing so much with a little less, and that's the Denver Broncos. And I want to talk to these guys as they embark on this new journey, and I would go something like that. Guys, it was Super Bowl 50. In 2015, the last time this proud franchise stood at the mountaintop and delivered to Broncos Nation what they have tirelessly earned and rightfully deserved, a Lombardi trophy. Men, that's 8 long years ago. We all know that that number 8 is so very special to me. And I think in this situation, it's absolutely apropos for me to share with you why that number 8 means so much to me. You see, that great number 8 in the Bible represents new beginning. You hear, he built the world in 7 days, and on the 8th was a new beginning. When I was just a little boy, a young man, God said to me, son, I have put great things deep down inside of you, but we must first work all that ghetto stuff up out of you. So I am giving you what he called then extended grace, because he knew I would need more than one new beginning in my journey. That's why he put that number 88 on my back to represent the need for more than one new beginning. But men, the extended grace God gave me personally is not the same extended grace we need professionally. Today, when you put on that Bronco uniform and step on that field, you are stepping away from 8 years of falling short with no playoffs. In that same span of time, we have had 12 different starting quarterbacks. That's 4 more than any other NFL team. Man, speaking of that number 4, we have had 4 different head coaches trying to pull us through that devastation to get us right here to our salvation. Man, what I'm trying to tell you, let me start playing with these numbers. Though if I start playing with these numbers, it'll blow your mind, because if I take the 12 minus the 4, that gives you that same 8. If I take the 4 plus the 4, that gives you that same 8. Men, what I'm trying to tell you is that something much, much bigger than all of us is speaking about something real big for all of us. So when we get ready to get on that field today, you must understand we have taken a rookie quarterback and we have made the unseeable seeable. We have made the unthinkable thinkable. And now we must embark on our journey to New Orleans to make the impossible possible. When you take this field today, don't walk, but run. And as you run towards your new beginning, that breeze you will hear in your ear is just your destiny saying, Broncos Nation, this is your time to shine. Let's ride all the way to New Orleans. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Chills. That new beginning starts today. Let's ride all the way to New Orleans. Ooh. Now,
I'll
put my it was. But 12 and 4 is 8, 4 and 4 is 8, and 8 is a new beginning. They're putting all that mess behind them. And look how quick they get to put all that mess behind them and get in the fight. Talking about doing more with less. That's what great coaching is.
Hey,
Mike Tomlin does that too.
I'll put my bet in for the Broncos this weekend. Who they playing? Who they playing?
Wait, Broncos. They playing the Bills. That's going to be tough.
They're playing Buffalo.
That's going to be tough.
Buffalo.
Going to be a tough one. That's why I'm working with them.
Not this week.
Right. But they got a shot now. I'm going to tell you something.
They have a great team.
That game's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
That game we just talked about, that Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, these games will not be blowouts. They will not be blowouts.
I don't know if I see they playing Buffalo. I don't know if that was their pep talk or you was reading their eulogy.
Right. But why? The reason I give them any shot is because of that defense you just talked about. But also the unfamiliarity that those two teams will have with each other. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing that I think will keep the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game close. Is the familiarity that they have with each other. But it's going to be a great game too.
Well, the Chiefs are looking to be the first team to three-peat in the
That's
NFL.
right.
And are favorites to win the NFC. The Chiefs narrowly escaped the Ravens in Week 1, and their only loss with their starters this season was to Josh Allen and the Bills. So, Paul.
Yes.
Who is the biggest threat to the Chiefs, Bills or Ravens?
It can be none other than the MVP this season. And
who's that?
The MVP in my eyes is Josh Allen.
Oh, okay.
And this is the reason why. Lamar is 1-4 against Mahomes in the regular season, 0-1 in the playoffs. Whereas Josh Allen is 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season, but he's also 0-3 in the playoffs. But the difference between these two is Josh Allen is in that locker room saying, I know we can beat them. Look, guys, look, we've beaten them. We've beaten them in the regular season multiple times, and that does something for your psyche. And they has beaten them as early as this year when the Kansas City Chiefs were undefeated. They gave him they gave Mahomes his only loss this year as the starting quarterback. So they have to be confident. Even though the success in the regular season hasn't carried over into the playoffs, just psychologically knowing, look, guys, I know we can beat them. Whereas on the other hand, Lamar, they don't have a blueprint. They don't have 1-4, 0-1, they 1-5. At least Josh has shown to have some success and he can build on. But he's saying we just got to get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I like that. And it doesn't make sense to say what we're saying here. Not to the single eye that when you look at the Baltimore Ravens and you look at the Buffalo Bills, you say, no way. No, it's Baltimore.
Right.
You believe that. But Paul just mentioned it. Buffalo beat them already. And it's not just the psyche that they will have as Buffalo, as the team that Buffalo will have. It's also the psyche that Kansas City is going to have. Kansas City is going to say, oh, they beat us earlier. We got to be careful. But then Kansas City also say, we always beat the Ravens. You know what I mean? It's both of those things that go into it. Because I've said this before and I'll say it here. I just don't believe that you can out-Mahomes Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like Lamar's always in that battle, to out-Mahomes Patrick Mahomes.
I hear what you're saying.
And that gets you in trouble because Patrick Mahomes doesn't make mistakes, and Lamar, he'll make some mistakes because he's a little bit more dynamic, and trying to get more dynamic makes you more vulnerable. So I, too, say Buffalo Bills. And it's scary to even say that I'm saying the Buffalo Bills. But it's also, we don't believe, I can only imagine what they thinking, you know, because they got everything. They have everything, but I'm saying the Buffalo Bills right now, too.
Yeah, you know.
And they got Buffalo got those front four guys that can get to Patrick Mahomes like they did earlier this season without having to blitz him. And that's the key factor.
Ravens fans are going to be mad at us, but
I can't believe everybody's saying Buffalo.
I got to say Buffalo, too. But it's not just because the Bills beat the Chiefs this season, which they did. But I'm with you, Paul. They know they can beat the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to keep beating a team over and over and over again. They've seen them a lot. There's a lot of familiarity. There's familiarity in the postseason. They've played well against them in the postseason. They've lost them badly in the postseason. Like, they've had every different dynamic, but they can walk in and say, we do know how to beat them. The Ravens can't really say that. They're 1-5 against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and that one is from 2021. And it was a fourth quarter comeback to win by 1 point. So even in that win, which does count as a dub, it was quite some time ago, and it took everything you had. So they really know they can do it. If you're asking me top to bottom who's the better roster, it's the Ravens. If you're asking me how they match up better and what tools they have to beat, it's the Ravens.
Yeah.
But there is a psychological element to being in the postseason, of being able to beat them. And I understand the loss of the Ravens and the Chiefs was close this year.
Yeah, it's a toe in the line.
It's a toe in the line.
Likely.
But
in the end zone.
But you really have to kind of get over that hump. And for that to be what's gone on this season, and look, we could all be wrong, and it could end up being the Ravens. I actually don't think there's any threat to the Chiefs, because I think the Chiefs are going to three-peat. But if you're asking me between these two teams, I also have to go with the Bills.
You know what the other thing that causes a problem? And when you play against the Baltimore Ravens, you're like, all right, this is what we have to do with Lamar. This is what we have to do against Henry and Flowers and all of this. What makes Buffalo so difficult to match up and beat this year is their unpredictability, because Josh Allen doesn't have a go-to receiver.
And I love this.
You know?
I love this. 13 different players have scored touchdowns.
So you don't, how do you game plan
what's
for
the
that?
Focus?
Yeah, there's no way
Where's the game plan?
What's the focus?
That's what makes them so hard to guard. Whereas you understand, all right, this is what we need to do to beat Baltimore. They're predictable. It was just like the Laker game yesterday. When they played Dallas, it was no Luka Doncic, no Kyrie.
Now you
Dallas
don't know where to focus. Right.
You don't know who to focus on.
I wanted to call y'all jokers and say y'all were talking about my Mavericks.
Because it's easier when you play against what you know.
Yeah.
When you don't know where he's going to go and who he's going to focus on, it makes him tougher
when you
to stop.
know who you have to take out of the game.
And you don't know which one of them other jokers going to decide to be the joker today.
Exactly.
And that's what happened
Buffalo.
with the Mavericks, with the Lakers yesterday.
Yeah,
boy.
but that's who Buffalo is.
That is.
Just they have Josh Allen.
Well, over to the NFC, Jalen Hurts missed the Eagles' last 2 regular season games with a concussion and was still in concussion protocol as of Monday. But today he was back at practice and seen throwing the football. Michael, will rust be an issue for Jalen Hurts? It's been since December 22nd that he's played, 3 weeks.
No, I don't believe rust will be an issue. And I love when I listen to our coach talk, and he talks about, hey, we practice at a very high level so our players get used to the intensity of the game. I'm a firm believer in all of that. You'll hear guys like the Detroit Lions, that's how they talk. And all the teams that are still in, that's kind of how they talk. But we talked about it yesterday. Can they win without Jalen Hurts? And we all say yes. Most of us did say yes. And I don't want to come off like we're minimizing the importance of Jalen Hurts right here when I said, no, I don't worry about rust. I worry about not his rust, but him running, because that's the catalyst of his offense. If he can run, then everything around that offense will work. Now, he's coming off a concussion. So how now do you work that offense? Not his personal rust. How do you work that whole offense without them worried about him pulling that ball out and going around the corner, and you got to hand that ball off to Saquon Barkley? That's the thing I'm worried about. Just him running, I'm not worried about his rust. His first few passes will be to that big area code receiver. So if it's off, we won't even know they're off. A.J. Brown will go snatch it right out the air from between heaven and earth.
Yeah.
So it won't even be known.
That's what I said. I don't think that rust will be an issue. Maybe in the first quarter it might be a little clunky, but they'll run the ball maybe even more than they normally would, and they will get it to A.J. Brown, get him involved early. He's got a great big radius, great big man, and that's the way to go early in the game.
You know what they have? It's hard to it's going to be hard to see the rust if he does have rust, because they have rust disguising players. Like, here, I'll just give the ball to Saquon for a few plays. Maybe you make a big play, touchdown. I'll just throw the ball in the vicinity of A.J. Brown and he'll go get it. He make me look good. When you got players around you that make you look good, you probably won't even tell if he's a little rusty, and he might be in the first quarter or so. But when you got those type of players around you, you can dust that off real quick and be ready.
I can throw some smoke screens to Slim Reaper, and he can get out the box with it. So you can work that. You can work that in. I'm not worried about it, but I also don't want us to think in any way that this dude here is not that dude. I mean, Jalen Hurts is very important, and there's no way they can go anywhere without him. No. You see, so we gave him one game. But, boy, that'll be it if anything happens to him. And that's why I'm worried about his running.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.